What's up, YouTube? So I was tearing up my office the other day because I'm a stir-crazy psychopath. I started painting my wall weird colors, as you would do in a pandemic. And I thought it was a good time for me to maybe go over everything I know about setting up a green screen. And obviously, this wall isn't green. The color green isn't exactly a necessity. You can actually use any color as long as there's a ton of contrast between it and the background. And I actually do recommend you use that color green, and I'm about to show you why. So I've got my light source coming from over here. It's basically a giant window. Let's check it out. Boom. We'll get to lighting in a second. That leaves this side of my body with a bit of a shadow on it. And particularly, there's going to be shadows around the edges of me in its entirety. But particularly, it's going to be noticeable on this side. Now, because the background is really dark, when I go to pull a key, it's going to be hard to get really close to the edges of me. With software, you could do some pretty crazy things. If I worked hard enough at it, I could probably make it work. But you're just going to see in this, like if I'm moving around, if there's motion, the edges of me, like if I'm a hairy guy, it's just going to be hard to get it real close to the outline of you. That color green is good for that reason. It's also good because of wardrobe. So I would wear a shirt that's this color all the time. And, so that won't work. Or if you get you see these things on Amazon, if they're not the right color, it's okay, but you have this problem with the darkness, kind of like this wall background, or it matching your clothing. I could easily own shirts. I don't own shirts that are this color green, but I do. So you really do kind of want more of that crazy tint of green, just because it'll be easier to tell you and the background apart. Initially when I did this, I bought this big giant green sheet from Amazon, and it works, I found, but the problem with it is it was really bulky and heavy, so to get it up on the wall took a bit of effort, and then to get it flat where there weren't any wrinkles in it were pretty much impossible. I found a cheaper way. So online they sell these lime green picnic table covers. They're flat, they're lightweight, they cost $10 a piece. You can just string up a bunch of them. They're perfect. So I'll put a link for that in the description if you're looking for it. That would be my way of the cheapest way of getting a green screen if you don't want to paint your wall like a psychopath. More important than color of your wall when you're setting up a green screen, it's going to be your lighting. I brought this mag light to kind of demonstrate what I'm going over here. When I first got into trying to do green screen, I was basically lighting this room on my own. So instead of having this window open, to the side over here, where you get this nice soft light coming in to the room, instead I had these artificial lights that were kind of on me, because I like to be ridiculous, like I'm telling a campfire story. This is hard light. This is no good. And let me demonstrate why. So you've got hard light like this, what ends up happening is if you look right in the center of it, the wall looks white almost, but the wall is not white. The wall is blue. We all know the wall is blue. When you're putting hard light on your wall like this, you're creating different colors. And these different colors are going to make it harder for your green screen to know how to pull a key. This might be cool for just regular lighting, like me without this, but now there's different shades on the edges of me. So if I try to pull a key right now, and I'm trying to get this edge, the fact that there's not clear, consistent background color that's distinctly different from me is going to make it hard for the computer to understand what's going on. In Hollywood, you might see these giant kind of tube lights like this that they use. They put them in an array, and they have them in a big thing where they can direct the light. They'll put 4 of them together. You need a bunch of them in order to get it evenly across the entire background. One of these can't evenly light this whole wall, no matter where you put it. You would have that situation like we had with the mag light, where there's spots and gradients all the way down the wall. So if you are going to try to light this yourself, I recommend trying to get kind of just a ton of light in the room. So you might be better off shining these things at this wall and letting that light reflect back across the entire room. But again, you're going to have problems with that because you're standing in front of the wall. So if these things are facing that wall, and bouncing a ton of light back into you, you're going to be casting a shadow on this wall, and that's going to make it harder for you to pull a good key. Something you got to understand with cameras is, so even if you did get an array of these lights, and you put them on the background, one from each side, kind of evenly dispersed so that you've got a flat color across this wall, the problem you're going to have is you have to make sure that you're exposing for your subject. So with cameras, when you do something like that, like you light the background more than you light your subject, you're going to end up in a situation where the subject might appear completely black instead of exposing for me and not the wall. So that's something you have to look out for when you're filming this. Okay, next tip for green screen is I actually recommend that you film in portrait mode, kind of like this. It just allows you to get more of your subject here in the frame. When we had it flipped the other way, you've got a lot of wall and not a lot of me because I stand vertically, you know, like a person. I'm a little tight here because I can't really move my arms out further than here, otherwise I'm out of shot. So you might want to go back a little bit. If we're less tight, there's just more that I can get in there. This is a little bit better. Give you a little bit more freedom of movement without getting out of the frame. When filming green screen, you're also going to want to shoot 4K when you're doing this. And the reason for that is pretty much every device plays everything back in 1080 anyway. So if you're streaming to YouTube, kind of like I'm doing now, there's a 0% chance you're watching this in 4K. If you own like an iPhone or an iPad or a regular computer monitor that's not $1,000, they're not 4K. Even if you owned a 4K TV and you were streaming this on your 4K Apple TV, even in that situation, it's still probably streaming in 1080 because YouTube is cheap and they don't want to pay for the bandwidth. They're not cheap, they're awesome. Go YouTube, pay me. And what that allows you to do is, now that you're filming in 4K, you can zoom in 2x and it won't affect any of the picture quality. So you can get a shot like this where you're vertical and, you know, I don't want my bottom half to be in this shot at all. That's silly. And so I can just pop in 2x and now everything else is out of this shot. The ceiling's out of shot, the bottom's out of the shot. I don't have to worry about it. It makes for a very lackadaisical filming experience where, like, you don't have to worry about hardly anything. You just gotta stay within your box here and you're good to go. All right, next tip. Ideally, if you're gonna be doing this, you want some space to work with. So I set this up in my small little office, which is an 11 by 14 foot room, and there's 11 going this way. So I'm actually filming in the small side of the room. It does not give me much space to work with. It means I'm fairly close to my camera. I'm also fairly close to this wall. Ideally, you don't want your actor standing like this against the wall because there's shadows of him against the wall, and if you were shining light back here, instead of just like a big soft light from the window, this is going to have spillage where the light hits the back of him with a giant green color. It's not going to go well. You want your actor probably closer to here-ish away from the wall so that he doesn't have the light bouncing off the wall onto him, and there's no shadow coming off of him onto the wall. Unfortunately, I don't have a ton of space, and I didn't really paint enough of my wall blue to I really didn't do a very good job painting either. But something like this where, all right, I've got at least the 11 feet across the room to work with. This is probably a better location for my camera. I'm not right up against the wall. I fit within my little space. I just shouldn't go outside of it. So when I first started doing green screen stuff, I was just getting into YouTube. I had no like nice backdrop to film against. A little bit of experience, I kind of realized that it's maybe not going to give you the results that I was thinking in my head. Like I was thinking I was going to be able to do really great, amazing green screen work with just a little bit of effort. And the problem is that like it's going to look a little cheesy for a lot of reasons. So one, kind of like I was saying, if you do bad green screen work, you're going to have edges and stuff around you. It's going to be obvious that it's green screen. Even if you get around that, there's other problems. The first problem is lighting. Now, my lighting's coming in from the side. It's hitting me this way. If I put in a background where the sun is over there, now all of a sudden it's going to look really weird because light's coming and hitting me this way. It's pretty obvious. Like you kind of recognize the sun should be on this side. But if there's any light source in my background on this side, now all of a sudden everything looks weird to the viewer. You're going to realize it's green screen right away. And that is not even close to the only thing that's going to give away that this is green screen. So the next one is the focal length of your lens. You know, you're filming a mountainside or something. You want to get everything in the shot. You want a real wide angle lens. Right now I'm shooting at like 30 millimeters or something like that on a full frame camera. So if I try to mix that footage, you know, a 30 millimeter me in an 18mm scene, it's going to look strange. You're not going to be able to really pinpoint exactly what is wrong with it, but just a casual viewer is going to look at that and be like, something is definitely wrong here. It's going to be obvious green screen. Something else I wish I knew when I got into this is that your camera really does matter when you're doing this. So when I first started filming, I bought this Panasonic Lumix G7. It came out in 2015. At the time, it was like $400 or $500 for the whole thing, kit lens. And it could do the job, but your record settings definitely matter. Before I was talking about filming in 4K and giving yourself the ability to punch in 2x, and something like that really does matter. So like good 4K is important. Unfortunately, when this G7 came out, 4K was pretty new, and so it really kind of struggles with it. You're gonna get better results filming in 1080 on this camera, but that kind of limits your ability to punch in and keep the same quality. 4K is one thing, but the next thing is 10-bit color. 10-bit color is a subject all on its own. I'm gonna have a whole video on color sampling and like what it does, but basically think of this as how much color information that you are storing per pixel. Now this is valuable because when you're trying to pull green screen data, the more data you have, particularly around the edges for colors with like shadows and stuff like that, the tighter you're going to be able to get to yourself without it looking ridiculous. That's it, guys. Subscribe to my channel. Check out my blog. I'm going to leave you with some green screen footage of me running. Give me all your money, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.